Hey guys, Jamiy, and today on Roblox we're playing some more Loomian Legacy, as you can see on the screen right now. And so today, we actually aren't playing Loomian Legacy, but I have a fun idea for a video. Well, at least I hope so. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but 2 weeks ago on Twitter, I made a tweet saying, hey, Loomian Legacy artists, if you have any fan-made Loomian designs and wouldn't mind them being featured in a video, feel free to reply to this tweet. I actually got quite a few designs submitted, so I've decided for this video I've gone ahead and selected 5 of them to go over in this video, which, by the way, obviously all of the artists will be linked in the description. If you like any of the designs, feel free to go drop them a follow on Twitter, obviously, and also give them some love, because also a lot of these are really great. But I thought it would be cool to also go through, react to, rate some fan-made Loomians, which, by the way, I just want to clarify, just because I've done a video on them doesn't mean that they'll be put into the game. I don't work on Loomian Legacy's design and like Loomian process. I just do the balancing for the game, and just testing wise, I don't do any of that stuff. So just because they're in this video doesn't mean they're going to put into the game. I just thought it'd be some fun. Which, by the way, you can see a part 2, let me know in the comments down below. But basically, I thought it'd be fun to also take some of these Loomians, like give them my opinion on them. Also, because a lot of opinions like change. So also, if you don't agree with anything that I say, or you want to add something to the conversation, feel free to let me know in the comments down below, okay? And just add your own inputs. But also, since I am the balancer for the game, I thought it would be fun just to not sit down and like react and to rate to some of these awesome Loomian designs, but to also go a step further. If they haven't got a typing, let's give them a typing. If they haven't got abilities, which, by the way, some of the artists actually did sit down and actually give them some abilities, which is cool, but give them some abilities. And also, finally, I'm pretty sure actually none of the artists actually did this, but I sat down and I give all of these fan-made Loomians some stats to also make it even more apparent that, hey, this Loomian, or this fan-made Loomian, is pretty freaking awesome. And like, also, instead of just having a tiny bit of backlaw, let's actually give them some abilities and like step further and also give them some stats, which I think was kind of cool. So with that being said, let's also just jump straight into it. Also, if you want to see a part 2, just make sure to leave a like, and also let me know in the comments down below. And also let me know if you want me to go a step further in part 2, because also I didn't give any of these moves, because I feel like moves is like pretty easy to understand. Like, okay, well, it's pretty simple. This Loomian, oh, it's a poison type, it's probably going to get like a muck blast at some point. So I'm not exactly too sure if I wanted to do moves, but for like signature moves, I could potentially go into that, for example, in the part 2. If you want me to do another one, let me know. But also, with that being said, let's jump into the video. Okay then, so jumping straight into the first fan-made Loomian, we have a reply from Scarlet the Noble. Also, I'll leave everyone's links in the description. If you want to go check them out, feel free to go do so and leave them a follow, obviously. But anyway, coming in with the fan-made Loomian Colwind, which is kind of a weird design. I love it. They didn't actually tell me like what the design is like based off of. Like, from just looking at it, I'm getting like a vibe from like dragons, imps, demons, like kind of like spirit fairy sort of things. To be honest, I have no idea what it's based off of. They didn't actually tell me. But also Colwind, I love the design of it. Also, it has an alpha and a gamma as well. All 3 of the color combinations is great. And also for the alpha specifically, also I say a lot of times whenever I'm like gleam hunting, I don't like a lot of like green gleamings if it's not like a bug type Loomian, or even like Pokemon as well. But especially lime green. But lime green and like a pink actually really works together really well, and I didn't think it would, but yeah, that's actually really cool. But anyway, going over Colwind's then, also the design is awesome. I love the fact that it actually has like, it's basically taken the element of like a big fat dragon with tiny wings, kind of like, I guess, like a Dragonite, although it's like a pocket-sized version of it. I would imagine this thing's like the size of like a Gobodemic or something, like really tiny, or maybe like Sorcha. The wings are detached from its body, which is also really cool. There's like little wisp things above its head and on the end of its tail. I'm not exactly too sure what those are, but they look pretty damn cool, and it goes on along with the design really nicely. But yeah, looks very interesting. Also, the typing is air and fire, which, by the way, is a phenomenal typing in Loomian Legacy's game. Amazing typing, so that's actually really cool. And also they gave me a description of it, which unfortunately doesn't actually go into anything about what the Loomian is based off of, but it says, this charming Loomian has the power to redirect wind paths. It likes to try and help those it likes, but it is mischievous and plays pranks on those it doesn't. So I can definitely see this thing just running around with a huge smirk on its face at all times. Also, as well, they actually give it a signature move, which is called Hot Winds, 80 power, 100 accuracy, and 50 energy. Kind of like a Thunder Strike, for example, like a lot of those moves. Blow scalding wings at your opponent or unts. blowing past their defenses, so I'm guessing that means it will attack beyond scapegoats and potentially, actually no, it probably won't be dodge because accuracy is 100, not it doesn't ignore it. So but hey, the move bypasses scapegoat, which is actually interesting that they mentioned that. Hits multiple enemies, so also it can hit both opponents if it's like a 2v2, and also has a chance to burn, which is very nice. And they actually gave it abilities, which not everyone gave the Loomians abilities, so I'll probably like, I have made up some abilities for them, and I've made stats for everything. But for this one then, the Scarlet gave this 2 normal abilities and a secret ability. The first ability is Confidence, it just doesn't flinch. Then also they give another one which is Transparent, which is absorb air-type attacks and use them to boost its own range attack. So kind of like Lightning Rod, but for air-type moves. I guess actually, yeah, I guess that'll be like Lightning Rod, but it just doesn't redirect moves. And then also a secret ability is called Blind Rage, which is melee and range attacks are substantially boosted in power, but attacks missed more often. Which is basically, I'm assuming, it's gonna probably work exactly like Sedimaz's ability Haste It. I'm assuming it might be like a little bit less or more power, I'm not really too sure. So yeah, but with that being said though, I have made stats for this one, so looking at this bad boy, okay, or girl, okay, I'm not judging, but they didn't actually like leave any like, oh wait, it could have an evolution or anything, or like hinting at any of that. So I'm just looking at this thing, it screams something like a Sorchi or a Gobidemic, so that is exactly what I've done with it. I've given it 500 base stat total across the board, just exactly like a Gobidemic and Sorchi, just kind of like a route race sort of thing. So for this one, also you'll see the stats on it. So it just looks like it would be also a range attacker. I mean, it has like pretty bad melee attack, but also with like 500 base stats, you have like, you're pretty limited to what you can work with. Also listening to like, based on like air, it can redirect wind paths. I thought it also makes sense to obviously give it low speed, also can hit pretty hard, and then also just like more range defense than melee defense. But yeah, also more like a range attacker and like range oriented. But that's basically it for Callwind. I love the design. I really like the design, actually, really. I mean, I think my personal favorite coloration of all of them is the normal version, but again, the alpha, just making lime green work on something actually looks pretty cool. I mean, look at like Duskit. I really don't like Duskit's alpha, but it actually works really well on here, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, there's Callwind. Let's move on to the next Loomian. Okay then, and the next Loomian we have then is from The Flick again, links in the description as always. Also, I'm probably going to pronounce some of these names wrong, so I apologize, okay, but anyway, we have a actual evolution line. We have a pre-evolution and a fully evolved evolution, I'm assuming, which also the smaller bird is called Showcrow, which is an electric air type. And also we have then the evolution, which is called Yunshock, which is a dark electric, which by the way, the color combo is awesome. Black goes with basically any yellow color. Yellow is just amazing for this design. I love it a lot. Also, again, dark electric is a pretty decent typing. I feel like it's kind of on the weaker side. Like, it probably has like quite a few weaknesses. I haven't really checked, but I would imagine it having quite a few weaknesses. But yeah, design looks awesome. It kind of looks like a phoenix sort of thing, but also instead of being fire, it's like electric. Has like an elegant feel to it. They didn't actually give it an alpha or a gamma version of it, or at least they didn't reply with one. If they haven't done one yet, I can definitely. Personally, I love it when the like games do it like, and they have like blue electricity. I feel like the only that you don't need to change the black on it, but just changing like the yellow to like a blue color, like a light baby blue sort of thing, would look so clean on this. Would look so good, like for the gamma or the alpha. I think that would look so clean. Anyway, also for Yunshock, I think design is amazing. They actually did leave a description for it, which is so basically. These two are inspired by those birds that sit on telephone poles. This Loomian over many generations evolved to be able to absorb this energy. But when it evolves, it requires much more than the poles can give. So basically the telephone poles aren't given enough energy, like it's not able to like sustain itself, I guess, enough. So instead, once it evolves, it actually flies high into the clouds and absorbs the electricity from there, so like from thunderstorms and stuff, so which is a pretty cool backlaw. I don't exactly know why it changes to dark electricity. Kind of, I think the type combo is cool to see, but don't exactly understand the reasoning. Like, it's not like an evil sort of Loomian, at least it doesn't look like it. I mean, it looks really cool. But anyway, unfortunately, they didn't give it any, like, abilities or anything, so I actually came up with a couple of abilities which also play into, like, the lore of it, also, like, absorbing electricity, so I might have been, like, a little overstepped a little bit, like, overplayed it a little bit, but also I gave it 2 abilities. I guess the first one will be the normal ability, which is called Conductive. If hit by an electric type attack, the user will absorb the attack and refuel its energy, so kind of like a lightning rod move, but also it doesn't like redirect the electric type moves, it's just like if it gets hit by it. So I guess actually a better example would be Ikazuna's Raging Fire normal ability. If Ikazuna gets hit by a fire type move, it regains its energy and it doesn't take any damage. That's basically that, but also the electric version of it, which also makes sense for the design of it and the back lore of it. And then for the secret ability, I actually gave it another one that is kind of similar to this one, but is energy reliant. If there are any electric type Loomians in play with Yunshock, so let's say for example the opponent has an Eliguana on the field, maybe in 2v2s I have an Eliguana on my field or a Zulong, it will apply to your teammates and your allies and your enemies. And also, at the end of every turn, Yunshock will absorb a small amount of energy from Lem for itself. So it's basically like a sap plant sort of thing, but also energy based, and it doesn't need to use a move, it's like ability based, which also, I'm not really too sure like how much of a percentage would be like good. I feel like 10% is probably too much, so probably like 5% potentially, something like that, like a very small amount, just so it's not like broken. But yeah, I feel like this kind of makes sense for the back lore, also like absorbing energy from Loomians, especially electric type Loomians. And then also if you look at the stats, you can kind of see why I actually gave it this ability. So stats wise, it has 575 base stat total, which also is pretty good. It's kind of like similar to like not Krakaloa, Eruptidon, like kind of close to that one. But also the stats are great. Has a really solid speed tier, outspeeds like Dusky and Ferroglyph and stuff like that. Doesn't outspeed Hunderlow. It has really good offensive stats, range attack, and also melee attack is also really good on it as well. The defenses and health aren't exactly too bad, but the energy stat is where also is taking the biggest hit. So also energy only has 45 energy, but the reason why also it is really low is for the like relying on energy parts. So I thought it kind of makes sense for it to go into like Spike Loss, saying oh it needs more energy to like replenish itself, so I kind of want to go like this route, and also since I took a lot away from the energy, I could give it higher stats in the other department. So that's like the thing, and also this is like the one of the it is the lowest energy stat in the game for like fully evolved Loomians. Also like this energy stat is like very close, like the starter's first stages, I guess, like an M-bit. It's like that's like the same energy, so I feel like it kind of makes sense. I didn't make any stats for the pre-evolutions because also the pre-evolutions are usually just like the fully evolved versions, but just like toned down a little bit. That's basically what they are. So yeah, but for the final evolution, Yunshock, that is what I have gave it. Again, loved the design. I really like this one, like the back lore of it as well. Like it's such a cool like design and like thought process that went into making it. But anyway, let's move on now to the next Loomian. Okay then, and the next Loomian we're going to be taking a look at is from Chris CH Foxy, who has made Knieshebel. I'm definitely pronouncing this one wrong, but also let me quickly like show you what the actual Loomian is. I'm assuming like looking at the name, I'm assuming it's meant to be like pebble at the end, shell in the middle. The first part, I kind of want to say knight is where that's taking it from, because it's like wearing a crown. And also, this is the first evolution. They haven't made any evolutions to it right now. Also, if you guys want to see a second part to this video, and if it does get an evolution, we might also take another relook at this one. But for this one, I think it's a very simple design. It's a shell in a bubble. Very weird, but it kind of works though, like pretty well, to be honest. Also, they made the normal version, an alpha and a gamma. Personally, I think I prefer the normal one over all of them, but again, that's just preference and just opinion based. For this one though, it is a water mine type, so also water, it's a shell. And the mine type, I'm assuming, is there to keep the bubble around it, so it can actually like have its own fortress sort of thing, which is actually what I did for the ability. So there's not really like too much of a background. It just says like it's a shell that is in a bubble of water. he said that he wants to make an evolution, but I've only created the first form, and actually has a gif of him, and he actually made it in Roblox, it looks like, which is really, really cool as well. But anyway, since this one is a first evolution, I have made stats for it, but I feel like these might be like pretty high, but I think it kind of works for it. Also for the abilities, I have given it just one ability, and it's based on its bubble, which is called just Bubble Barrier. I know, amazing name, and I usually don't come up with like all of the ability names or like move names for Loomian Legacy. I come up with like a beta name, and T-Redem usually just like corrects them and like makes them actually make sense. But Bubble Barrier keeps the Loomian immune from taking damage from indirect attacks, such as poison. So for example, if this Loomian is hit with a poison, it will still get poisoned, but it won't take a damage from that poison, but also it'll still have the status. So that's basically what the ability does. I'm pretty sure there's actually a Pokemon thing that is similar to this one. I just don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I feel like Sigilyph might have it. I just don't remember what the name of the Pokemon version of it is. But it's like, oh, if you're burnt, you'll have the burn status, but also it won't deal damage to you, although it will still lower your melee attack. Like Sap Plant won't also affect it, stuff like that. So that's like the reason why also I gave it that, and that's the reason why I only gave it one ability, because also every version of this seems to have like a bubble, so it kind of makes sense to not give it multiple abilities. So yeah, for the stats low, obviously, I have given it a lot of health, melee defense, and range defense. It is stupidly slow, one of the slowest Loomians in the game. Also, like, not exactly the best, but like alright for like a first evolution Loomian for its stats. Also, energy being 71, since it's like pretty high on energy, which obviously only brings like the base stat to like 400, which I think is fine. If it's got like a 3-stage evolution, this might be a little bit lowered, I guess. But if it's only a 2-stage evolution, I mean, I think that's fair for it, to be honest. But also, this Loomian, and I wanted to like focus mostly on its bubble, also that's why I gave it that ability, but also I gave its defense pretty high, because I can see this Loomian working very, very well with a drop of youth, and that's kind of why I gave it like pretty decent defenses. So like once it evolves, if it does evolve into like a more fighter, like, or like for example like Pyramide and Ferroglyph, like Pyramide's like pretty defensive, and when it evolves into Ferroglyph it becomes a lot quicker and also more offensive styled rather than defensive. I can see this like following the exact same suit, honestly. And that's why I wanted to focus on also the pre-evolution being more defensive, and also being drop of youth, and also this like if it does evolve, and if it is like offensive style, like quick and can also hit hard, also like pretty drastic change, which I feel like kind of suits it pretty well. But also, like I said, but there is Knishelbel. Again, I'm probably pronouncing that completely wrong. I have no idea how to pronounce that, man. I'm sorry, but again, love the design. Like I said, it's a very simple design, but it works really good with it, and I don't really know why, but I want to see more stuff from Chris, honestly. I mean, this looks pretty cool. But anyway, let's move on to our next Loomian. Okay, the next Loomian is from Lucky HD Lens. So, didn't give me any information, he just gave me screenshots of a tree evolution line, so also a little tiny crab thing that evolves into like a very weird lobster looking thing. I'm not too sure what the middle form is meant to be, it looks weird. And then also evolving to a freaking giant, huge, I'm assuming it's meant to be a crab, which is also, it looks actually really, really cool. There's no name for it, there's no like a backlaw to like what it's actually meant to be. I'm assuming it's meant to be a crab sort of lobster thing, but primarily a crab. No idea what the name of it is, so Crab, there we are, interesting name, I know. Yeah, I have no name. I'm assuming that he has actually got information on this fan-made Loomian somewhere, but he didn't reply with it, and I don't know where exactly to look for it. For the typing, I would definitely give this thing a water, potentially brawler as well. Water brawler just makes sense. It looks like it would be a Loomian that is like proud of its like territory and stuff like that, and also like basically willing to fight anyone that steps on its beach, okay? That's its own sand, okay? It's not sharing it with anyone. Again, no alpha or gammas, but since it's like based on like a crab sort of thing, and I know that in like actual real world situations, I don't know if X actually applies to crabs, but I know that some lobsters can be a very light blue color. I don't know if crabs can follow that same suit, but I'm just going to say that they potentially could. I'd definitely like to see like it get something like that, which I already recommended, like an alpha being blue or a gamma being blue from the Yunshock, but I think this also works on this situation as well, for like a blue crab, like lobster sort of thing. For the abilities then, I have given it I've given it two abilities that are already in the game, like I haven't made any new ones. The first ability and the normal ability is the protective shell. It just means it can't get critted, which also makes sense for it. We already have like a lot of Loomians in the game that are like shell based, like Ventation for example. So it just makes sense just to take from there. And also the second hidden ability, or the secret ability, is called Frail Armor. Also that one's in the game as well. If it gets struck by a melee attack, it drops its defenses, so that means the next turn it will get hit harder with melee attacks, but also increases its speed. I think it makes sense, although there is one thing that I want to add on to it. If it's meant to be like sort of like a king crab, it doesn't have a crown, but I can see this thing being like kind of like a king crab sort of thing, which if it does, I could also see this thing potentially getting boast like a Borok, being also like a really proud Loomian like a Borok obviously. I can see it getting that, but moving on to the stats then, which also as you can tell, it has two huge stats, also being melee defense, which is huge. Very similar to like Ventation, but also Ventation is still sturdier than it, but also Ventation isn't like Ventation like is pretty relaxed. It's not like an offensive, it's just like kind of like a solid Loomian. Whereas this crab is going all out. Okay, I mean, it's got those big meaty claws. There's no way this thing is going to be like a good melee attacker. So also I've given it 110 melee attack, which also is the exact same as Borok actually, thinking about it, which again, I could see this thing having the boast ability, honestly, but I thought probably shouldn't really give that to just anything, okay, because also that is a really good ability. Also, the range defense sucks completely. Also, so basically for this, like compared to Ventation, because they both are like crab sort of based Loomians, Ventations, I said this one would be going to be like more offensive orient, because it makes sense with also the giant snapping claws that look like they can just chop my head off in just one fell swoop. Also being fairly slow. I mean, also there's a lot of weight to carry on and they only really walk sideways. I'm assuming the fully evolved version can walk forward. At least it'll be funny if I can only see this thing walk sideways. Also with Ventation being the more defensive, and this also being still having good melee defense, because it's got a huge, hard, rock-solid shell, but also having really good offensive stats as well. And also, I just want to point this out really quickly. I don't know why, it completely reminds me of the Lobster Man from One Punch Man. I'm not gonna lie, I almost said Attack on Titan there, from One Punch Man. It completely reminds me of that, to be honest. I don't know why, but it just reminds me of that. So yeah, the thing is really cool, but again, not really that much information that he gave me, so just working on what I have. But yeah, pretty cool Loomian. The middle form, it's kind of like that weird awkward stage. Not that big of a fan of it. I mean, it's kind of like a Radburn. Like, no one really likes the second evolutions for a lot of like the Loomians, especially like Radburn's kind of weird. What's another one? Torpray, some people think is weird, but I kind of like Torpray. It's just like, it's weird how it goes from Eaglet to Torpray, which is standing on two legs, back to a four-legged Valkyrie. It's kind of weird, I know, but anyway. I think the first evolution is cute. Final evolution is just completely badass. Middle version, kind of like the weird teenager sort of phase, so it makes sense, I'll take it. But yeah, there is, Crab. We don't have a name, so I don't know what to call this thing, but there we are. Crab, okay, definitely just Crab. I'll take it. Anyway, let's move on to our final Loomian. Okay then, and moving on to the final Loomian then, we have one from Flare Spatial, or Spatial Flare, I'm not too sure, because their Twitter @ is Flare Spatial, but their Twitter name is it backwards, but oh well. But coming in with Ant Azuka, which also is a pretty cool Loomian. I actually love this design a lot, but also it is the War Ant Loomian, which also is a Bug and Toxic type Loomian, which we've had before, that is like Swalder and Terrafly's typing, exactly. But the description reads, Ant Azukas have the ability to fire bullets from their abdomen. The bullets are made from the plants it eats. Because Ant Azuka travels all across the region, they eat all sorts of plants, resulting in their bullets being extremely poisonous. Also, then they've also gave it some of their own abilities. The only thing that they didn't give it is stats, and they also made an alpha and a gamma version of it then. So talking about the design, okay, I like this a lot. Personally, I like the alpha and the gamma. The gamma's coloration is also blue and black, amazing color combo. Again, black just goes with anything. Actually, this is kind of like the same blue that I kind of wanted the Loomian before to have, like the birds. Kind of exactly the same blue that I wanted it to have as well. But also, alpha, I like the red and bronze orange sort looks pretty cool, but I actually really like the first coloration of this one, the normal version, being green. And the reason why is because when I looked at it, I immediately thought of the little like dollar toys that you would go to, like if you go to like a dollar store or somewhere, and you could buy these little green army men. They would also come in grey, but mostly primarily green, although grey is like the secondary color that you can usually find them in. And that is exactly what I think when I see this thing, like in just a tiny little green army soldier, which I would have loved it if one of the alphas or the gammas were the grey version of it, but also like it's the camo colors, so I don't think they took into consideration that, oh, it's like a toy soldier sort of thing. I think it's mostly just like for camo colors, but I would have loved it if one of the alphas or the gammas were the grayscale version of it. That would have been so cool. Anyway, though, also its butt is a grenade basically, and you can fire bullets from it. Interesting. And also it has, you can tell like the design, I mean it's also like an exoskeleton, so it looks like it actually has like armor on, like a vest on, and it has a helmet on its head as well. I mean, also looks really cool. Alpha and Gamma, I also like them a lot. The Gamma's coloration, black and blue, look so good together, yes. Red and bronze, kind of weird, but I like it. But like I said, the first version I'm in love with, just for the little green army men. Also then, going to the abilities. We have one which is called Colonize, which is just a power-up bug-type move, so also its bug-type moves do more damage. And then obviously it has a secret ability which is called Adapt. Loomian's typing changes depending on what move it uses, so it's based like from like I think it's Protean, like Greninja has it, and I think Kecleon has it as well. I'm actually trying to think. I'm pretty sure the new fire starter, Cinderace, I think it's called, got one called like Liberio or something like that. Librio, I don't exactly remember. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same thing. So yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I can agree, because also like if you're doing a war, also you got to adapt to your surroundings and stuff. I think it could have had something different, but hey, it worked okay. I'm happy with that. It completely works. But yeah, there is Aunt Azuka. Also, again, the only thing that they didn't give it was the stats, which I've made myself, which also, as you can tell on screen right now, this thing has like a lot of high stats. Also, I feel like it's like a war, like it should have like good range attack and melee attack, although I've sacrificed the melee attack mostly for also its defenses and speed. Also, it has a good speed stat, has a good range attack stat, it has really good defenses also for this like exoskeleton sort of thing. I gave it quite a bit decent energy, also so I can actually use a lot of moves back to back to back. And I also gave it surprisingly really low health, also because it's like an ant. Also, like, ants are usually like really tiny. I'm assuming this one won't be like really tiny if it was like put into a game, obviously. Although it'd be kind of funny. That'd be kind of funny completely. But also I give it lower health because also like ants usually have like pretty short lifespans, and like also they're usually like pretty tiny, so the health makes complete sense here. Also with like its exoskeleton giving it, basically carrying its defenses, but also keeping it pretty balanced. So yeah, I like the design on it. And honestly, he didn't say like if it's going to have like an evolution or anything. I don't think it should have an evolution. I think this specific Loomian can have different like variants to it. So like a good example is, I guess like Chartique and Volcolor has a split evolution. Instead of like in any evolution, there's just like different versions of them. I'm trying to like sort of think. I know that Pokemon's done something like that. I just don't remember what Pokemon they've done it with. But basically, also like this one's like a war ant Loomian, like it's a heavy fire Loomian. Also like it's fighting. I can definitely see them like having like a queen ant sort of thing, like also like a Vespa queen sort of like vibe to it. Like maybe only the female ones can evolve. Although I can see this one having like different version of it being like a scout one that's like really quick, can't really hit that hard, and has like again decent defenses, but like a scout ant, like just going around, like maybe like a supply ant sort of thing. Like I can see like having like a full army of these and like having a full team dedicated to like filling up your entire party with like ant Zukas or something like that. But I love the design. I think it's really awesome, and again, the green army man, just I thought of that straight away and I loved the design immediately. But with that being said though, that is all of the designs that we have for today, okay? If you want to see a part 2, let me know. And again, I've said that like a lot in this video, but if you like any of the designs, make sure to go down to the description. Also leave a like, but also make sure to go and leave these guys a follow, especially if you like any of their designs, okay? Also, they do quite a lot of good art. And again, if you want to see a part 2, I might cover some of the same people and potential evolutions for a couple of these if they decide to make any of them. But also, if you want to see a part 2, let me know. Also, if you have any like suggestions on how I can like make these sort of videos like more interesting. But again, I wanted to like rate them, but I was like, I don't exactly want to rate them because I mean they're all really good anyway. So I mean, I think all of these designs I'm gonna give like a 9 or a 10 out of 10 because I was gonna visually rate them, but like all these are just too good. I can't really like rate them. I'm gonna be biased because I love all of them. But anyway, personally, on my opinion, also preference, I love all of these. They're so freaking cool. But again, if you want to see part 2, let me know. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time.